Before we begin, a critical disclaimer. I am not a registered financial advisor, and this video is for educational and informational purposes only. It does not constitute financial, legal, or tax advice. All investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. You should always consult with a licensed and qualified professional before making any investment decisions based on your individual circumstances. Have you ever been scrolling through social media, maybe late at night, and you see someone talking about their stock portfolio, their crypto gains, their latest real estate deal, and for a split second a voice in your head whispers, "I could never do that. I'm not smart enough. I don't have the right connections. I probably need some kind of license for that, right?" That single question, that tiny seed of doubt, is one of the most effective, most insidious, and most profitable lies ever told in American finance. It's a ghost story whispered around the campfire of our economy, designed to keep you on the sidelines, convinced that the world of building real, life-changing wealth is a private club, and you don't have a membership card. Well, today we're not just going to expose that lie. We are going to take a sledgehammer to it. We are going to dismantle it piece by piece so that you walk away from this video with the absolute, unshakable certainty of what you can and cannot do. So let's answer the question right here, right now. Do you need a license to invest in the United States? For 99.9% of you watching this, the answer is a resounding, unequivocal, absolute no. Let me say that again. You do not need a license, a certification, a degree, or any special permission from anyone to start investing your own money for your own future. You can go, right now, open a brokerage account with your phone in under 10 minutes, and buy a piece of one of the greatest companies on earth. You have the right. You have the permission. The only thing you've been missing is the clarity. So if that's true, why does this myth persist? Why do so many intelligent, hardworking people feel like they're on the outside looking in? It's because the financial world has brilliantly confused two fundamentally different things: investing for yourself and investing for other people. This is the single most important distinction you need to understand, and it will change the way you see everything. Think of it like this. You don't need a special license to cook dinner for your family in your own kitchen. You can experiment, you can try new recipes, you can even burn the toast. It's your kitchen, your food, your family. But the second you decide to open a restaurant and start selling that food to the public for a profit, now you're in a completely different universe. Now you need health department permits, business licenses, food handling certifications. Why? The government isn't trying to stop you from cooking. They're trying to protect the public from you potentially giving them food poisoning. The licenses are a form of consumer protection. Investing is the exact same principle. When you invest your own money, the money you earned, the money you saved, you are the chef in your own kitchen. You can buy stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs. You can buy a piece of Apple, a slice of an S&P 500 index fund, or a share of a real estate investment trust. You are taking your own money and accepting your own risk for your own potential reward. The Securities and Exchange Commission, or the SEC, isn't going to knock on your door and ask to see your investing license. It doesn't exist. But the moment you want to start handling other people's money, the moment you want to call yourself a stockbroker, a financial advisor, or a fund manager and charge people a fee for your services, now you're opening a public restaurant. Now you need licenses. Those are the things you hear about: the Series 7 license, the Series 66, the Series 63. These are professional examinations that stockbrokers and financial advisors must pass to prove they have a baseline competency and understand the rules of the industry. Again, these licenses are not to keep you out of the market. They exist to protect you, the consumer, from bad actors in the financial industry. They are a shield for the public, not a gate for the wealthy. The entire financial services industry is built on this foundation. The licenses, the regulations, the jargon, it's all part of the restaurant side of the equation. But you have been led to believe that you can't even enter your own kitchen without first graduating from a cordon bleu culinary academy. This confusion isn't an accident. The financial industry thrives on complexity. It benefits when you feel like you need a translator, a guide, a highly paid professional to navigate this supposedly treacherous world for you. They've created a language of alphas and betas, of quantitative easing and expense ratios, that makes everyday people feel like they don't belong. It's a brilliant marketing strategy. By making it seem impossibly complicated, they create the demand for their own services. But the truth is, the core principles of sound, long-term investing are incredibly simple. So simple, in fact, they can be written on an index card. But there isn't much money to be made in selling simplicity. There's a fortune to be made in selling complexity. So let's be perfectly clear. The person managing a multi-billion-dollar hedge fund? Yes, they and their firm are licensed up to their eyeballs. Your friendly neighborhood financial advisor, who helps you set up a retirement plan? Yes, they have licenses. The person on the other end of the phone when you call a brokerage firm like Fidelity or Charles Schwab, they have licenses. You? Investing your paycheck into a Roth IRA for your future? You need nothing but a bank account and the will to get started. You are the customer they are licensed to protect. You are not the applicant they are trying to exclude. Now, once we accept this fundamental truth, a new, more interesting question emerges. If anyone can invest, are all investments open to anyone? And the answer to that question is mostly, but not entirely. This is where we peel back the next layer of the onion and uncover the one area where the financial world does, in fact, have a velvet rope. It's a concept you may have heard of, whispered in articles or on podcasts. It's the world of the accredited investor. This is the one major exception to the rule. This is the one door that is, by law, closed to the vast majority of Americans. Being an accredited investor is a specific legal designation defined by the SEC. It's not a license you study for, but a status you achieve based on your income or your net worth. Think of it as a financial VIP section. And for decades, some of the most potentially lucrative investments, like investing in private startup companies before they go public, or participating in certain types of real estate syndications or private equity funds, were exclusively available only to people in this section. Why? The logic, at least on the surface, was once again about protection. The SEC's reasoning was that these types of investments are incredibly risky, often illiquid, and come with less transparency and regulation than the public stock market. So they reasoned only sophisticated investors who could afford to lose their entire investment without it devastating their lives should be allowed to participate. Their solution was to define sophisticated by a simple, blunt instrument: wealth. If you had a high enough income or a high enough net worth, the government essentially said, okay, you're a big kid now. You can handle the risk. This single rule created a two-tiered system of wealth creation in America. The public had access to the public markets, stocks, bonds, mutual funds. And the wealthy, the accredited investors, had access to all of that, plus the private markets, where some of the most explosive growth in our economy happens. It's how early investors in companies like Uber or Airbnb made astronomical returns long before you or I ever had the chance to buy a single share on the stock market. So while you don't need a license to invest, your financial status itself has historically acted as a key, unlocking doors that are closed to others. But here's where the story gets exciting, and why understanding this is so critical right now. That wall between the public and private markets is beginning to crumble. New laws, new technologies, and new platforms are creating cracks in that wall, giving everyday, non-accredited investors a chance to access opportunities that were once the exclusive playground of the rich. Understanding this distinction between the complete freedom you have in the public markets and the historical restrictions of the private markets is the key to navigating the entire modern investment landscape. It's the difference between blindly following the herd and strategically positioning yourself to build real, generational wealth. And that is exactly what we are going to break down. We'll explore what it actually takes to become an accredited investor, why you probably don't even need to be one to achieve your financial goals, and how you can start accessing some of these previously off-limits investments right now without needing millions in the bank. The game is changing, and the rules are being rewritten. So let's pull back the curtain on this exclusive club. For decades, the entire world of private investing, we're talking pre-IPO startups, real estate syndications, hedge funds, the deals that create generational wealth, was guarded by a single invisible wall. A wall built by the Securities and Exchange Commission, or the SEC, way back in 1933. And on that wall was a sign, and that sign read, "Accredited investors only." Now, what does that even mean? It sounds impressive, right? Like you need a special degree or a secret handshake. But it's much simpler and frankly much more cynical than that. To be an accredited investor, you either had to have a net worth of over $1 million, not including your primary home, or you had to have an annual income of over $200,000 for the last 2 years, or $300,000 if you're married. That's it. That's the golden ticket. Not your intelligence, not your financial literacy, not your experience, just the size of your bank account. The official reason for this rule, the story they tell everyone, is that it's for your own protection. The SEC argued that people without a lot of money couldn't afford to lose it on risky, private investments. They were protecting the little guy from getting wiped out by speculative deals. And on the surface, that sounds noble, right? It sounds like they're looking out for us. But let's be brutally honest about what it really did. It created a two-tiered financial system. A system where the wealthy had access to the highest growth investment opportunities on the planet, the kind that can turn $1,000 into $1 million, while everyone else was told to stay on the sidelines and be happy with their 401k and a savings account that pays less than inflation. It wasn't just protection, it was exclusion. It was a velvet rope that kept 90% of the population out of the best parties. Think about it. If you were an early investor in Uber or Airbnb or Facebook, you didn't buy those shares on the New York Stock Exchange. You got in years, sometimes a decade, before they ever went public. You invested when they were just an idea, a scrappy startup in a garage. Those early investments are where the truly life-changing returns are made. And for 80 years, the law effectively said that if you weren't already rich, you weren't allowed to even try. It was a self-fulfilling prophecy. The rich get access to deals that make them richer, while everyone else is locked out. But then something started to change. The ground beneath Wall Street began to shift. It didn't happen overnight with a big explosion. It was a quiet legislative earthquake that most people completely missed. It was called the Jobs Act, the Jumpstart Our Business Startups Act of 2012. And it contained a provision, a specific section called Title III, that took a sledgehammer to that invisible wall. Title III of the Jobs Act created a new legal framework for something called regulation crowdfunding. Now, you've heard of crowdfunding. You go on Kickstarter, you give a company $50 for a new smartwatch, and a year later you get a watch in the mail. That's a rewards-based system. Regulation crowdfunding, or Reg CF as it's known, is a different beast entirely. It's equity crowdfunding. Instead of getting a product, you get equity. You get ownership. You get a real legal stake in the company. For the first time since the Great Depression, this law made it possible for regular, everyday, non-accredited investors to invest their money in private early-stage companies. The velvet rope was cut. The bouncer was sent home. The door was kicked wide open. Under these new rules, a startup can raise up to $5 million per year from the general public. And you, regardless of your net worth, can invest. There are some limits, of course, based on your income, to ensure people aren't betting their life savings on a single deal. But the fundamental barrier is gone. You no longer need to be a millionaire to invest like one. This is, without exaggeration, one of the biggest changes to investment law in a century. It's a fundamental rewiring of how capital is formed and how wealth is created in America. It means that the next billion-dollar company might get its first seed funding not from a handful of venture capitalists in Silicon Valley, but from thousands of its future customers, teachers, firefighters, software engineers, and artists from all over the country, investing as little as $100 each. This is all happening right now through SEC-registered online platforms. Websites like WeFunder, Start Engine, and Republic have become the new stock exchanges for private companies. They are the marketplaces where these deals happen. You can go on there tonight, browse through hundreds of startups raising capital, from local breweries and coffee shops to biotech firms and AI software companies, read their business plans, watch their pitches, and if you believe in their vision, you can invest directly through the platform. You can own a piece of a company you actually care about. You can back a founder you believe in. You can put your money to work in a way that aligns with your values, not just handing it over to a faceless fund manager on Wall Street. This isn't just a new way to invest. It's a way to participate in the economy in a more meaningful, direct, and potentially far more profitable way. But with great power comes great responsibility and also great risk. These are not your blue-chip, dividend-paying stocks. These are early-stage ventures. The statistics are brutal. The vast majority of startups fail. They go to zero. You could, and you should, assume that any money you put into a single startup could be lost entirely. It's illiquid, meaning you can't just sell your shares tomorrow like you can with Apple stock. You might be holding them for 5, 10, or even more years before there's an opportunity to cash out, if ever. So why do it? Why take the risk? Because the upside, the potential reward, is unlike anything else available in the public markets. One successful investment in a company that goes on to become a household name can return 10x, 50x, even 100x your initial investment, paying for all the failures and then some. This is the venture capital model. They know most of their bets will fail, but they also know that one big winner can make their entire fund. And now, for the first time in our lifetimes, you can play the same game. You can build your own personal mini venture fund, diversifying across dozens of companies you believe in, for a few $1,000s. You can get in on the ground floor. So the door is officially open. But just because you can walk into the casino doesn't mean you know how to win at the poker table. And that's the critical piece we're breaking down next. How to think like a venture capitalist, even if you're starting with just $500. We'll look at the frameworks the pros use to spot a winner from a dud, because the difference can be life-changing. So let's put you in the hot seat. Imagine you're a venture capitalist, a VC. You walk into a room and you have $1 million to invest. 10 companies pitch you their brilliant ideas. Statistically, you know that 7 of them will probably fail completely. They'll go to zero. 2 might return your money, maybe a little more. But one, just one, has the potential to return 50 times, or even 100 times your initial investment. That one single winner doesn't just cover the losses from the other 9. It generates all the profit for your entire fund. This isn't just gambling. It's a calculated strategy called seeking asymmetric returns. It's the core of the entire venture capital mindset. The VCs aren't trying to avoid losers. They're hunting for one single massive winner. And whether you have $500 or $5 million, this is the single most important mental shift you can make as an investor looking for life-changing growth. You stop asking, how much could I lose? And you start asking, if I'm right, how big could this possibly get? To answer that question, VCs use a framework, a mental checklist to filter the noise and spot the signal. And the very first thing they look at is something called the TAM, or total addressable market. This is just a fancy way of asking, how big is the playground this company wants to play in? Is it a local sandbox or a global ocean? Let me give you an example. Imagine 2 companies pitch you. Company A has invented the world's best, most delicious artisanal hot dog. They want to open a single hot dog stand in downtown Boise, Idaho. Company B is building a software platform that helps every single food truck and street vendor in the United States manage their inventory and payments. Now, that hot dog stand in Boise might be a great, profitable small business. It might make the owner a very comfortable living, but it will never ever be a billion-dollar company. The total addressable market is limited to the number of people who walk by that one street corner in Boise and want a hot dog. The upside is capped. Company B, on the other hand, is targeting a market of hundreds of thousands of vendors across the entire country. If they capture even a small fraction of that market, the potential is enormous. Their TAM is massive. A small fish in a giant ocean has infinitely more room to grow than a big fish in a tiny pond. So when you're looking at an investment, don't just ask if the product is good. Ask if the market it's serving is big enough to support the explosive 100x growth you're looking for. If the answer is no, it doesn't matter how good the idea is. A world-class race car can't win the Indy 500 if it's stuck driving in a cul-de-sac. Okay, so the market is huge. Check. The next question is even more important because ideas are cheap, but execution is everything. VCs have a saying, bet on the jockey, not the horse. The horse is the idea, the product. The jockey is the founding team, the people steering the ship. You could have the best idea in the world, but with the wrong team it will crash and burn. Conversely, an exceptional team can take a mediocre idea and pivot, adapt, and grind their way to success. Think about the story of Steve Jobs. He was famously forced out of Apple, the company he co-founded. The company then brought in a professional CEO, a guy from Pepsi, who nearly ran the company into the ground. When Apple was on the brink of bankruptcy, they brought Jobs back. He didn't come back with a dozen new ideas on day one. He came back with a vision, a relentless drive, and an almost insane standard for excellence. He was the jockey. He transformed that near-dead horse into the most valuable company in the world. So how do you, a regular investor, evaluate a jockey? You look for evidence of grit, obsession, and what's called founder market fit. Has the CEO lived the problem they're trying to solve? Are they a world-class engineer building a deep tech company? Or are they a marketing person trying to lead a team of scientists? Look at their history. Do they have a track record of building things, of overcoming adversity? Read their interviews, watch their presentations. Do they communicate with clarity and passion? Do you believe them? Because in the early days, when a company has no profits and very little revenue, you're not investing in a spreadsheet. You are investing in a group of people and their ability to will a future into existence. A great team in a huge market is a powerful combination. But even a great team in a huge market needs a product that people actually want. This brings us to the third filter, product market fit. This is the magic moment when a company's product and its customers are in perfect sync. The easiest way to think about this is the painkiller versus vitamin analogy. A vitamin is a nice to have. You take it because you think it might be good for you, but if you forget for a week, your life doesn't really change. A painkiller, on the other hand, solves a real, urgent, throbbing pain. If you have a splitting headache, you're not debating the price of Advil. You just want the pain to stop. Too many startups build vitamins. They create clever apps or gadgets that are kind of cool, but they don't solve a burning problem. The companies that achieve explosive growth are the ones that create painkillers. Before Uber, trying to get a taxi in a major city was a massive pain. You didn't know if one would show up, when it would arrive, or how much it would cost. Uber was a painkiller. Before Slack, internal company communication was a chaotic mess of emails, texts, and random messages. Slack was a painkiller for that chaos. The sign that a company has found product-market fit is that customers are practically ripping the product out of their hands. They're telling their friends. The company can barely keep up with demand. Growth isn't just happening, it's accelerating. For a public company, you can see this in their revenue growth. Is it growing at 5% a year or 50% a year? Are their customer numbers exploding? This isn't about a cool idea. It's about cold, hard evidence that they've built something that a massive market desperately needs. Finally, let's say you found a company with a great team in a huge market, with a product that's a true painkiller. There's one last piece of the puzzle, and it's what separates the good investments from the legendary ones. It's the moat, the unfair advantage. Warren Buffett famously said he only invests in companies with a wide, sustainable moat around them, like a castle. The moat is what protects the company from competitors, because as soon as you build something successful, you can be sure that a dozen other companies will pop up trying to copy you. So what is your company's defense? There are several kinds of moats. One is technology. Think of Google's search algorithm. For 2 decades, brilliant engineers at Microsoft and elsewhere have tried to build a better search engine, and they just can't. Google's technological lead is a massive moat. Another is a network effect. This is when a product becomes more valuable as more people use it. Think about Facebook or Instagram. You use them because all your friends are on them. A new social network could have better features, but it's useless if none of your friends are there. The network itself is the moat. A third is brand. People pay $3 for a coffee at Starbucks that costs 30 cents to make, because they trust the brand. They know what they're going to get. That brand loyalty is a powerful moat that's built over decades. So when you analyze a potential investment, ask yourself this critical question. What prevents a competitor with more money and more people from coming in and crushing this company? If you can't find a convincing answer, be very, very careful. A castle without a moat is just a building waiting to be conquered. Thinking through these 4 lenses, the massive market, the relentless team, the painkiller product, and the deep moat, is how you start to separate the hopefuls from the high flyers. It's a framework that forces you to think beyond the hype and analyze the fundamental DNA of a business. It transforms you from a passive stock picker, hoping for the best, into an active investor making a calculated bet on a company's potential to dominate the future. Now, you might be thinking, this is great, but this all sounds like it's for companies that aren't even on the stock market yet. So where do you, the everyday investor, actually find these kinds of opportunities before they hit the mainstream? That's the million-dollar question, and it's exactly what we're covering next. The secret world of equity crowdfunding, and the platforms that are changing the game for everyone. So, how do you actually find these kinds of opportunities before they hit the mainstream? That's the million-dollar question, and it's exactly what we're covering next. The secret world of equity crowdfunding, and the platforms that are changing the game for everyone. For decades, the best private deals were locked away in a gilded cage. You needed to be an accredited investor, part of the country club, someone who got the whisper deals over a steak dinner. If a brilliant founder had a revolutionary idea for, say, a company that builds foldable houses or a new kind of plant-based meat, they'd go to Sand Hill Road in Silicon Valley. They'd pitch a handful of venture capitalists, and if they were lucky, those VCs would write a giant check in exchange for a huge chunk of the company. You, the average person, were completely shut out. Your only chance to invest was years later, after the company went public in an IPO, by which point the venture capitalists had already made 1,000 times their money. The party was over before you even got the invitation. Then everything changed. In 2012, the US government passed something called the Jobs Act, the Jumpstart Our Business Startups Act. It sounds like a boring piece of legislation, but I want you to think of it as the financial equivalent of the Berlin Wall coming down. For the first time, a specific part of this act, called regulation crowdfunding, gave regular, non-accredited investors the legal right to invest in private startups. It was a revolution. The gilded cage was blown wide open. And in its place, a new ecosystem of online platforms emerged, acting as the bridge between visionary founders and everyday investors like you. This is equity crowdfunding. It's like Kickstarter, but instead of getting a pre-order for a new smartwatch or a thank you t-shirt, you get something far more valuable: actual equity, a real ownership stake in the company. You're not just a customer, you're a part owner. And if that company succeeds, your small investment could potentially grow exponentially. So where does this happen? The first major platform you need to know about is StartEngine. You've probably seen their ads featuring their strategic advisor, Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank. StartEngine is one of the giants in the space, a massive marketplace where you can browse hundreds of startups raising capital. This is where you find companies like Boxable. Maybe you've seen their videos online. They make these incredible 375 square foot foldable houses that can be set up in about an hour. It's a wild idea with massive potential to solve housing crises. Before Boxable was a viral sensation with a multi-billion-dollar valuation, they were raising money on platforms like StartEngine. Early investors had the chance to get in when the company was valued at a tiny fraction of what it is today. They weren't accredited investors. They were regular people who saw the vision, believed in the team, and were able to invest a few hundred or a few $1,000s. That's the power of this model. You get to be the venture capitalist. Another huge player is WeFunder. Their motto is Kickstarter for investing, and they really lean into that community feel. They were instrumental in lobbying for the Jobs Act and have a deep passion for democratizing startup investing. WeFunder is where you might find a local craft brewery that wants to expand, a software company with a powerful social mission, or a biotech firm developing a new medical device. A great example is a company called Regrained. They had a brilliant idea. Take the used grain left over from the beer brewing process and upcycle it into nutritious, delicious snack bars. It's a fantastic story of sustainability and innovation. They turned to WeFunder to raise capital from a community of people who loved their mission. Those investors weren't just providing cash. They were becoming brand evangelists, telling their friends and helping the company grow. Their investment was both financial and emotional. Then you have a platform like Republic. Republic has a slightly different flavor. They often feature a highly curated selection of deals, including not just startups, but also video games, real estate, and even crypto projects. They have a connection to AngelList, one of the most respected names in the venture capital world, which gives them a unique deal flow. One of the most fascinating raises on Republic was for Gumroad, a platform that thousands of online creators use to sell digital products. The founder, Sahil Lavangia, decided he wanted his own users, the creators who built their businesses on his platform, to be the ones who owned a piece of it. So he opened up a community round on Republic. In less than a day, thousands of his own customers invested over $5 million. It was a stunning display of the new capital landscape. The people who believed in the product the most got to share in its success. So how does this actually work in practice? It's shockingly simple, and that's the point. First, you create an account on one of these platforms. It's free and takes about as much time as setting up a Netflix account. There are no wealth checks, no secret handshakes. You just sign up. Second, you browse the deals. This is the fun part. It's like a digital version of Shark Tank, but you're the shark. Each company has a campaign page with a pitch video, a detailed business plan, financial projections, and information about the team. Most importantly, they have a document called a Form C, which is a legal disclosure filed with the SEC. It contains the nitty-gritty details of the offering, the valuation, the risks, the use of funds. This is your primary tool for due diligence. Third, if you find a company you believe in, you invest. You can link your bank account or, on many platforms, even use a credit card. And here's the most revolutionary part. The minimum investment isn't $50,000. It's often as low as $100. You can build a diversified portfolio of a dozen different startups for less than the cost of one share of Amazon stock. Now, this is where we need to have a serious talk about what happens next, because this is not the stock market. When you buy a share of Apple, you can sell it 5 seconds later. When you invest in a startup on WeFunder or StartEngine, your money is locked up. This is an illiquid investment. You can't just cash out whenever you want. You are in it for the long haul, typically 5 to 10 years or even longer. Your return comes from something called an exit event. This is when the startup either gets acquired by a larger company, like when Google bought YouTube.
Disclaimer: the information presented is for informational purposes only and is not professional financial, investment, or tax advice. All investments involve risk and may result in partial or total loss. You should always conduct your own research and consult with a qualified financial professional before making any financial decisions. By viewing this video, you agree not to hold the creator liable for any loss or damage arising from your use of the information provided.
Or when it grows big enough to have its own IPO and list on the stock market. Only then can you sell your shares and hopefully for a massive profit. And that brings us to the most critical part of this conversation, the risk. I am not here to tell you this is a magic ticket to guaranteed riches. It is the exact opposite. This is the highest risk form of investing that exists. The brutal truth is that most startups fail. For every Boxable that becomes a billion-dollar company, there are hundreds of others that quietly run out of money and shut down. If that happens, your investment goes to zero. It's gone. You must go into this with the full understanding that you could lose every single dollar you put in. That's why the golden rule of startup investing is to never, ever invest more than you are comfortable losing completely. But on the other side of that terrifying risk is the reward. It's what venture capitalists call asymmetric upside. One single successful investment can return 10x, 50x, or even more than 100x your initial money, paying for all the failures and then some. You only need one big winner in a portfolio of 10 or 20 companies to potentially see life-changing returns. This is the model that built Silicon Valley, and for the first time in history, it's a game that you are allowed to play. You don't need a license. You don't need to be a millionaire. You just need $100, an internet connection, and the willingness to do your homework. So you found the platforms, you understand the risks, and you're ready to dive in. But with thousands of companies all screaming for your investment, how do you separate the next Tesla from the next Theranos? How do you spot the hidden gems and avoid the catastrophic failures? That's not just about luck. It's about a framework, a checklist. And that's exactly what we're breaking down next. The 5 critical questions you must ask before investing a single dollar into a startup. First, let's get one thing straight. This isn't a magic formula. There's no algorithm that can perfectly predict the next Google. If there were, venture capital wouldn't be the high-stakes game it is. But what this framework does is shift the odds dramatically in your favor. It takes you from playing the lottery to playing poker. You're still dealing with uncertainty, but now you're making calculated decisions based on real information, not just a gut feeling or a slick pitch deck. This is your shield against hype and your compass for finding true value. So grab a pen. Mentally bookmark this. Here's question number 1. What is the hair on fire problem? Notice I didn't just say, what's the problem? I said hair on fire. Imagine your hair is literally on fire. You're not thinking about what you'll have for dinner tomorrow. You're not browsing for a new pair of shoes. You are looking for the nearest, fastest, most effective way to put that fire out. You will pay anything. You will do anything. That is the kind of problem the best startups solve. They address a pain point that is so urgent, so acute, that customers are desperate for a solution. Think about it. Before Uber, trying to get a taxi in a big city at rush hour was a nightmare. You're standing in the rain, frantically waving your arm, watching empty cabs drive by. That was the hair on fire problem. Uber didn't invent a new form of transportation. They created a ridiculously simple way to put out that fire with a tap on your phone. Now contrast that with the infamous Juicero. It was a $400 Wi-Fi connected machine that squeezed prepackaged juice packs. Beautifully engineered, backed by top investors. But what problem did it solve? The problem of squeezing a bag of juice with your own hands. Is that a hair on fire problem? No. It's a mild inconvenience at best. It's a solution in search of a problem, and that's why a company that raised $120 million went bankrupt. So when you look at a startup, ask yourself, is this a vitamin or a painkiller? A vitamin is nice to have. It might make you feel a little better. A painkiller solves an immediate, throbbing pain. Invest in the painkillers. Question number 2, and honestly this might be the most important one of all. Who is on the bus? An A+ team with a B- idea will almost always outperform a B- team with an A+ idea. Why? Because ideas are fragile. The initial plan almost never survives first contact with the customer. The market changes. A new competitor emerges. The product fails. A great team adapts. They pivot. They have the grit, the experience, and the raw intelligence to navigate the chaos. A mediocre team will crumble. So what defines a great team? 3 things. Domain expertise, a history of execution, and insane resilience. Domain expertise means they live and breathe the industry they are in. The founders of a new medical device company should probably include a doctor or a medical engineer, not just two business school grads who thought it sounded like a good market. They need to understand the nuances, the regulations, the customer's world, better than anyone else. A history of execution means they build things. Have they started a company before, even if it failed? Have they led a team? Shipped a product? A resume full of strategist or consultant roles can be a red flag. You're looking for doers, not talkers. And finally, insane resilience. The story of Airbnb is legendary. To fund their company in the early days, the founders Brian Chesky and Joe Gebbia designed and sold novelty cereal boxes during the 2008 election, Obama O's and Captain McCain's. They hand-glued 1,000 boxes of cereal. That's not a glamorous story. That's a story about doing whatever it takes to survive. That's the kind of founder you want to bet on. So dig into their story. Are they scrappy? Have they overcome real adversity? Because they are about to face a mountain of it. Okay, question number 3. How big is the pond? You can have the most brilliant team solving a real hair-on-fire problem. But if they're solving it for a tiny group of people, the business can never become big enough to generate the venture-scale returns you're looking for. You could build the greatest fishing boat in history, but if you park it in a backyard pond, you're not going to have much of a catch. You need to be fishing in an ocean. In the venture world, they call this TAM, or total addressable market. It's a simple concept. If this company were to capture every single dollar spent in their specific market, how much would that be? Investors are typically looking for markets in the billions or tens of billions of dollars. Now, you don't need a PhD in market analysis to figure this out. You can do a quick back-of-the-napkin calculation. Let's say a startup is selling software to dentists for $1,000 a year. There are about 200,000 dentists in the United States. So, the total addressable market is 200,000 times $1,000, which is $200 million per year. Is that big enough? Maybe for a small fund, but it's not a multi-billion-dollar opportunity. A word of caution here. Beware of the 1% trap. You'll often see a pitch deck that says, the global market for pet food is $100 billion. We only need to capture 1% of it to be a billion-dollar company. That's a lazy argument. The real question is, how are they going to get that first customer? And the next 10? And the next 100? A much better sign is a company that has a clear plan to dominate a specific smaller niche first, say organic dog food for golden retrievers in California, and then expand from there. They need a beachhead. This brings us to question 4, which is the ultimate lie detector? Where is the traction? An idea is a fantasy. Pitch deck is a story. Traction is proof. It is the single most compelling evidence that a startup is onto something real. Traction is the measurable sign that customers want what you are selling. What does traction look like? It depends on the stage of the company. For a brand new pre-product company, traction might be a waiting list with thousands of emails. It might be letters of intent from major corporate customers who promise to buy the product once it's built. It might be a viral video that shows overwhelming interest. Remember Dropbox? In their early days, they were struggling to explain their product. So they made a simple 3-minute demo video and posted it to a tech community called Hacker News. The video was filled with in-jokes for that specific audience. Overnight, their beta waiting list exploded from 5,000 people to 75,000 people. That was traction. It was undeniable proof that people had the problem and wanted their solution. For a company that already has a product, traction is even more straightforward. Revenue, active users, engagement, and most importantly, growth. Are these numbers going up and to the right month after month? A company with $10,000 in monthly revenue that's growing 20% every month is often more interesting than a company with $50,000 in monthly revenue that's been flat for a year. You are investing in the trajectory, the momentum. Don't invest in a static photograph. Invest in a moving picture. Finally, the question that protects your wallet. What are the terms of the deal? You can get the problem, the team, the market, and the traction all right, but if you invest on bad terms, you can still lose money. This is where the rubber meets the road. The two most important concepts for an early-stage investor to understand are valuation and structure. Valuation is simply the price of the company. If a startup is raising $1 million in exchange for 20% of the company, its post-money valuation is $5 million. Is that a fair price? The only way to know is to compare it to other similar companies at a similar stage. A startup with just an idea shouldn't be valued at $50 million. A company with millions in revenue shouldn't be valued at $2 million. You need to get a feel for what's standard. The structure of the deal also matters. Early-stage deals are often done using something called a SAFE or a convertible note. This sounds complicated, but the idea is simple. Instead of setting a price for the company today, your money will convert into stock at a future fundraising round, but you get a discount. You're also protected by a valuation cap, which sets a maximum price you'll pay, no matter how hot the company gets. A high valuation cap or a low discount is bad for you. A low cap and a high discount is good for you. You have to read the fine print. So problem team, market traction and deal. This is the 5-point inspection. It's your pre-flight checklist. It forces you to be disciplined to replace hope with evidence. It's not about finding reasons to say yes. It's about rigorously looking for reasons to say no, and only investing in the rare few that survive the scrutiny. Now you have the framework. But this leads to the next logical question. Okay, I know what to look for. But where do I actually find these startups? How do you get access to these deals before they're all over the news? That's a world that used to be hidden behind closed doors. But the internet has blown those doors wide open, and we're about to walk through them. Let's start with the most important piece of legislation you've probably never heard of. It's called the Jobs Act. It sounds boring, I know. It sounds like something you'd hear about on C-SPAN at 3 in the morning. But I want you to think of the Jobs Act of 2012 as the key that unlocked the Golden Gates. Before this law was signed, the world of startup investing was a private club, a literal country club in some cases. Deals were done on golf courses, over expensive dinners, and in boardrooms you couldn't get into without a personal invitation from someone already inside. To get a piece of the next potential Google or Amazon, you had to be an accredited investor. You had to have $1 million net worth, not including your house, or an income of over $200,000 a year. It was a world of who you know. And if you didn't know anyone, well, tough luck. You could buy a company's stock after it went public, after the early investors had already made their 100x or 1000x returns. You got the scraps. The Jobs Act changed that forever. It was designed to help small businesses raise capital and create jobs after the 2008 financial crisis, but its side effect was a revolution for the everyday investor. Specifically, a section of it called Title III, or Regulation Crowdfunding, Reg CF for short. This is the magic bullet. Reg CF allows private companies, the startups we're talking about, to raise money from the general public. From anyone. It doesn't matter if you have $1 million or $100. If you're over 18 and a US resident, you can invest. The law essentially said, we're taking the velvet rope down. The club is now open to everyone. This created an entirely new industry. Equity crowdfunding platforms. Think of them as a combination of Kickstarter and the stock market. They are websites that act as the middleman, the marketplace connecting these innovative startups with people like you and me who want to invest in them. The big names you'll hear are platforms like Start Engine, Wafunder, and Republic. These aren't shady back alley operations. They are FINRA-regulated portals. They have to follow strict SEC rules to operate. They handle the legal complexities, the payment processing, and they present the investment opportunities in a way anyone can understand. They are the digital doors that Congress blew open. So what's it like when you walk through one of these doors? When you go to one of these websites? It's honestly like stepping into an episode of Shark Tank, but you're the shark. You'll see a gallery of companies, each one with a story. One might be a company developing a plant-based bacon that actually gets crispy. Another might be a robotics company building automated drones for farmers. A third might be a fintech app that helps you save for a down payment on a house. These aren't just ideas on a napkin. Most of these companies have a product, they have customers, they have revenue. They're just looking for that fuel, that capital to hit the next level of growth. For each company, you get a campaign page. This is their pitch to you. It's a deep dive into their business. You'll see a professional video with the founder explaining their mission, their vision, their passion. You'll see their business plan, their market analysis, their financial statements, and their projections for the future. And most importantly, you see the deal terms. This is critical. Tells you what you're actually buying. Are you buying common stock, giving you a direct slice of ownership in the company? Are you investing through something called a safe note, which is a popular agreement that converts to stock later? It also tells you the company's valuation, what they believe the whole company is worth right now. A $5 million valuation? A $20 million valuation? This is the price you're getting in at. And here's the most powerful part. Something that was absolutely unthinkable a decade ago. There's usually a discussion section, a comment forum right on the page. And you, as a potential investor, can ask the founder and their team questions directly. What's your customer acquisition cost? Who are your biggest competitors and what's your competitive advantage? Can you explain the high burn rate in Q2? You can see what other investors are asking. You can see the founders' public responses. It's a level of transparency that just didn't exist in the old world of private deals. You are doing due diligence in public alongside a crowd of other investors. Now let's talk about the price of admission. The old-school angel investor might have to write a check for $25, $50, or even $100,000 to get into a single deal. It was a high-stakes poker game. But with equity crowdfunding, the minimum investment is stunningly low. It's often just $100. Sometimes $250, sometimes $500. This changes the entire game. It means you don't have to bet your life savings on a single company. In fact, you absolutely should not. Instead, you can behave like a professional venture capitalist. Venture capital funds, the big players in Silicon Valley, know a secret. Most of their investments will fail. They know that out of 10 companies they invest in, 7 or 8 might go to zero. 1 or 2 might return their money. But just one, could be the home run that returns 50x, 100x or more, paying for all the other losses and generating massive profits. Their entire strategy is based on diversification. They spread their bets wide. And now, because the minimums are so low, you can too. You can take, say, $5,000 and instead of putting it all on one startup, you can invest $250 into 20 different companies. You can build your own personal venture fund, one small investment at a time across different industries, from biotech to consumer goods to software. This dramatically increases your odds of catching one of those massive winners. But, and this is the most important but you will ever hear about this topic, this is not free money. This is arguably the riskiest type of investing on the planet. When you buy a share of Apple on the stock market, you're buying a piece of one of the most stable, profitable companies in human history. When you invest $100 in a seed-stage startup on WeFunder, you are buying a lottery ticket. A very well-researched, intellectually stimulating lottery ticket, but a lottery ticket nonetheless. The statistics are brutal. 9 out of 10 startups fail. They run out of money, the founders have a falling out, a bigger competitor crushes them, the market just isn't there. You must go into this with the absolute rock-solid expectation that you could lose every single penny you invest. Do not invest your rent money. Do not invest money you'll need in the next 5 years. This is a tiny speculative slice of your portfolio, after you've already handled your 401k, your IRA, and your emergency fund. Furthermore, unlike the stock market, you can't just sell your shares whenever you want. This is called an illiquid investment. There is no open market for these shares. Once you invest, your money is locked up in that company. You might be holding those shares for 5, 7, even 10 years or more. You only get your money back, and hopefully a profit, if the company has an exit. An exit is a liquidity event. This typically happens in one of 2 ways. The startup gets acquired by a bigger company, like when Google bought YouTube, or the startup grows big enough to have an initial public offering or IPO, and lists on the stock market like Facebook did. These events are the grand slams, the home runs that all early investors dream of. But they are rare. So you need patience and a stomach for extreme risk. So, to answer the big question, do you need a license to do this? Absolutely not. All you need is a bank account, an internet connection, and a clear understanding of the risks. The door is open. The platforms are there. The opportunities are real. But just because you can walk into the casino doesn't mean you know how to play the games. Now that we know where to find these deals, the real million-dollar question is, how do you pick the winners? How do you sift through the hundreds of companies and spot the one with the real potential versus the one that's destined to fail? How do you read a pitch deck, analyze a team, and understand a market? That's the art and science of angel investing, and it's exactly what we're going to break down next. So you're looking at a pitch deck. It's probably a sleek PDF, maybe 15 to 20 slides, filled with bold claims and beautiful charts that all go up and to the right. It's the startup story, its resume, and its plea for cash, all rolled into one. Your job is to be the world's most skeptical detective. You're not just reading it, you're interrogating it. The very first thing you need to look for is the problem slide. Is the problem they're solving a real, painful, hair-on-fire problem? Or is it a minor inconvenience? A vitamin instead of a painkiller? Think about it this way. If your head is pounding with a migraine, you will crawl over broken glass to buy a painkiller. If someone offers you a daily multivitamin, you might think, yeah, I should probably take that. But there's no urgency. You want to invest in painkillers. Great companies solve excruciating problems. Before Uber, Trying to get a taxi in the rain at 5 p.m. in New York City was a soul-crushing experience. That was a painkiller. Before Google, finding information online was a chaotic mess of clunky directories. Painkiller. The bigger and more painful the problem, the bigger the opportunity. If the problem slide doesn't make you immediately nod and say, "Oh yeah, that's a huge pain," that's your first red flag. Next, the solution. How are they solving this painful problem? This is where you apply the 10x rule. A successful startup doesn't offer a solution that's just a little bit better than what already exists. It has to be 10 times better, 10 times cheaper, or 10 times faster. Why? Because the friction of switching to something new is immense. People are lazy. Businesses are resistant to change. You won't switch your bank for a slightly higher interest rate, but you might for an app that makes banking effortless and free. Their solution needs to be a knockout punch, not a decision won on points. If their big selling point is a 15% improvement, it's likely dead on arrival. Now we get to the numbers. You'll see a slide about market size, usually with 3 acronyms: TAM, SAM, and SOM. This sounds like MBA jargon, but it's brutally simple. Let's say you're starting a revolutionary new vegan pizza shop. Your TAM, or total addressable market, is the entire global market for pizza. It's a huge, sexy number, maybe hundreds of billions of dollars. Founders love this slide, but you can't sell to everyone on Earth. So, your SAM, or serviceable available market, is the part of that market you can realistically reach. Maybe that's the market for pizza in your city. Still a big number. But the most important one is SOM, the serviceable obtainable market. This is your slice of the pie. It's the share of the local pizza market you can realistically capture in the next few years. This number needs to be grounded in reality. A great idea in a tiny market is a hobby. You're looking for a good idea in a market so massive that even capturing 1% of it creates a billion-dollar company. Then comes the team slide. A lot of seasoned investors will tell you they flip to this slide first. Ideas are a dime a dozen. Execution is everything. You are not betting on an idea. You are betting on a team's ability to execute on that idea, and more importantly, to pivot to a better idea when the first one fails. Slack, the multi-billion-dollar communication tool, started as a video game company called Glitch. The game failed, but the internal messaging tool they built to collaborate was brilliant. The founders were smart enough and resilient enough to see the real opportunity and pivot. That's what a great team does. So what do you look for? Founder market fit. Has the CEO worked in this industry for 10 years and felt the problem firsthand? Or did they just read a tech article and think it sounded cool? You want the former. You want a mix of skills. Typically the hacker who can build the product, the hustler who can sell it, and the hipster who can design it. Most importantly, you're looking for grit, resilience, people who have been knocked down before and gotten back up. Their bios should tell a story of overcoming challenges, not just a list of fancy schools. After the team, you look for traction. This is the evidence. This is proof that they're not just talking a big game. Traction isn't just revenue, though revenue is the best kind. It can be early users, a waitlist with 50,000 emails, a signed pilot program with a Fortune 500 company, or glowing testimonials. Anything that shows that the market is pulling the product out of their hands, rather than them having to push it onto the market. A slide that says 1,000% month-over-month growth looks amazing, but if they went from 1 user to 10, it's meaningless. You have to dig into the context of their traction. Is it real? Is it repeatable? Finally, there's the ask. How much money do they want, and what specifically are they going to spend it on? A vague answer like "for marketing and growth" is a huge red flag. A great founder will say, "We're raising $1 million. $400,000 will go to hiring 2 senior engineers to build out these key features. $350,000 will be our marketing budget to acquire 20,000 new users at a projected cost of $17.50 per user. The remaining $250,000 will be our operational runway for the next 18 months. That's a plan. That shows they've thought through every dollar. It's a budget, not a wish list. Now here's the secret. The pitch deck is just the movie trailer. It's designed to get you excited. It's not the full story. If a deck gets you intrigued, that's when the real work begins. This is called due diligence, and it's what separates professional investors from amateurs who lose their shirts. First, you talk to the founders. For hours. You ask them the hard questions. What keeps you up at night? Who is your biggest competitor, and why are you going to beat them? If you had half the money you're asking for, what would you do? If you had double, what would you do? You're testing their thought process, their honesty, and their coachability. If a founder gets defensive or claims to have all the answers, run away. The best founders are humble, curious, and treat every question as an opportunity to learn. You also have to ask yourself a simple question. Do I trust this person with my money? Your gut instinct here is incredibly important. Second, you become a customer. Use the product. If it's a B2B software, get a demo. If it's a consumer app, download it and play with it. Is it intuitive? Does it work? Does it actually solve the problem it claims to solve? Then, if they have them, you call their actual customers. You ask them, on a scale of 1 to 10, how disappointed would you be if you could no longer use this product? A score of 9 or 10 is a must-have. Anything less than 7 is a nice-to-have. And those companies rarely succeed. Third, you check their math. Their financial projections are always a fantasy. They all show a hockey stick curve of exponential growth. Your job is to understand the assumptions behind that curve. What is their assumed customer acquisition cost? What is their churn rate? How did they come up with those numbers? You need to build your own, more conservative model. Stress test their assumptions. What happens if it takes twice as long and costs twice as much to get a customer? Does the business still work? This process is intense. It's time-consuming. And the brutal truth is, you will say no far more than you say yes. Top-tier venture capitalists say no to 99 out of 100 companies they see. As an angel, you should be just as selective. The biggest danger for a new angel investor is FOMO, the fear of missing out. You'll hear about a hot deal that everyone is piling into, and you'll feel pressure to write a check before you've done your homework. This is a trap. A disciplined, repeatable process is your only defense against the emotional roller coaster of investing. But analyzing one deal, even perfectly, isn't enough. Because even if you do everything right, find a great team in a huge market with a 10x solution and amazing traction, that company could still fail. A key competitor could emerge. The market could shift. A key founder could leave. This is the nature of startup risk. So how do you manage that risk? You don't do it by picking the one perfect company. You do it by building a portfolio, understanding how to construct that portfolio, how many bets to make, and the brutal math of venture returns is the key to moving from just being an investor to being a successful investor. And that's where the real strategy comes into play. So let's talk about that strategy because it's not what most people think. When you buy a stock on the New York Stock Exchange, you're often looking for steady, predictable growth. You're analyzing price-to-earnings ratios, dividend yields, and market trends. You're playing a game of averages. You hope most of your picks do reasonably well. Angel investing is the complete opposite. It is not a game of averages. It is a game of outliers. It's governed by a brutal, unforgiving, but incredibly powerful mathematical principle known as the power law. And if you don't understand the power law, you are, to put it bluntly, just gambling. You're at the casino, putting all your chips on a single number on the roulette wheel and praying. The power law is your real license. It's the intellectual key that unlocks the door to this asset class. Imagine two early-stage investors, both accredited, both with $100,000 to invest. Let's call them Cautious Carl and Strategic Sarah. Cautious Carl is smart. He's a doctor. He's done well for himself. He wants to dip his toe into the startup world he's been reading so much about. He does his research, he finds a company he absolutely loves. It's in the medical tech space, something he understands. The founders are brilliant, the pitch deck is polished, the market is huge. He feels it in his gut. This is the one. So, he invests his entire $100,000 into this single company. He's concentrated his bet. He believes he's being smart by going all in on what he perceives as the highest quality opportunity. He wants to minimize his risk by picking the perfect company. Now let's look at Strategic Sarah. Sarah is an engineer. She's methodical. She's studied the history of venture capital. She understands the power law. She knows that the vast majority of startups fail. She knows that even the most promising companies with the smartest founders can get wiped out by a market shift, a competitor's move, or just plain bad luck. She knows that predicting the one single winner out of thousands is statistically impossible. So what does she do? She takes her $100,000 and divides it into 20 small bets of $5,000 each. She builds a portfolio. She still does her diligence, she still looks for great teams in big markets, but she accepts from day one that most of these bets will fail. She is mentally and financially prepared to lose her entire $5,000 investment on at least 15 of those 20 companies. Let's fast forward 5 to 7 years.
Disclaimer. The information presented is for informational purposes only and is not professional financial, investment, or tax advice. All investments involve risk and may result in partial or total loss. You should always conduct your own research and consult with a qualified financial professional before making any financial decisions. By viewing this video, you agree not to hold the creator liable for any loss or damage arising from your use of the information provided.
Cautious Carl's single investment, the one he was so sure about, ran into trouble. A bigger competitor launched a similar product. A key engineer left. They struggled to raise their next round of funding. The company didn't die spectacularly, it just fizzled. It was acquired for parts, and Carl got back maybe $10,000 of his original $100,000 investment. He lost $90,000. His conclusion? Angel investing is too risky. It's a scam. I'm never doing that again. Now what about strategic Sarah? As she predicted, about 12 of her 20 companies went to zero. Poof, $60,000 gone. Another 5 of her companies did okay. They were acquired for small amounts or are just sort of bumping along, and she got her money back on them, maybe a little more. Let's say she turned that $25,000 into $50,000. So right now she's invested $100,000, lost $60,000 and made $50,000. She's still down $10,000. By Cautious Carl's logic, she's also failing. But then there are the last 3 companies. 2 of them turn out to be solid wins. They find their market, they grow, and they get acquired. Each one returns 10 times her initial investment. So her $5,000 checks become $50,000 returns. That's $100,000 from those 2. Now, her total return is $150,000 on her initial $100,000 investment. She's up 50%. That's a decent return, better than the stock market over that period. She's happy. But we forgot about the last company. The 20th company. The one she almost didn't invest in. It looked weird, the idea was a little crazy, but the founder had this spark. For the first few years, it looked like it was going to zero along with the others. But then, it hit an inflection point. It found product market fit. It exploded. It became a household name. 7 years later, it gets acquired by a tech giant. And her $5,000 investment is now worth $500,000. It's a 100x return. Let's do the final math for Sarah. She invested $100,000. She got back $50,000 from her SOSO companies, $100,000 from her 2 good companies, and $500,000 from her 1 home run. Her total return is $650,000. She turned $100,000 into $650,000. That one single investment, that one outlier, paid for all of her failures and generated the vast majority of her returns. That is the power law in action. The top-performing investment in a venture portfolio will often return more than all the other investments combined. This isn't a theory. It's a statistical reality backed by decades of data. The top venture capital firms in the world, the Andreessen Horowitzes and the Sequoias, they live and die by this principle. They don't make money by being right 80% of the time. They make money by being right once or twice in a portfolio, but being so spectacularly right that it covers everything else. So what does this mean for you? It means that the single biggest mistake an angel investor can make is not building a portfolio. Investing in 1, 2, or even 5 startups isn't really investing. It's a lottery ticket. The real barrier to entry, the real license you need, isn't a government certificate. It's having enough capital and access to deal flow to build a portfolio of at least 15 to 20 companies. For decades, this was a huge problem. To write 20 checks for $25,000 each, you needed $500,000 just to get started. This locked almost everyone out of the game. It was a club for the ultra-wealthy. But the world has changed. And this is the most exciting part. The old barriers are crumbling. You no longer need to be a Silicon Valley insider with millions in the bank to build a proper, diversified startup portfolio. The tools of the trade have been democratized. One of the most powerful tools is the Angel Syndicate. Think of it as a pop-up venture fund for a single deal. An experienced investor called the syndicate lead finds a promising startup, does the heavy lifting on due diligence, and negotiates the terms. They then invite other accredited investors to pool their money alongside them. Instead of writing a $50,000 check yourself, you can write a $5,000 or even a $2,000 check as part of the syndicate. This allows you to spread your capital, that same $100,000, across not just 20, but potentially 50 different companies, dramatically increasing your odds of catching one of those power law winners. Then you have venture funds that are specifically designed for accredited investors, with lower minimums than the giant institutional funds. And of course, there are equity crowdfunding platforms, which, thanks to legislation like the Jobs Act, allow even non-accredited investors to get in on the action, sometimes with as little as $100. The point is, building a portfolio is no longer a question of access, but a question of knowledge and discipline. The license is understanding that you need to make enough bets to let the math work in your favor. It's about surviving the inevitable losses long enough to be there for the monumental wins. But this raises the next critical question. Okay, you're committed to building a portfolio. You're going to use syndicates or a platform to make 20 small bets. How do you choose which 20? Out of the thousands of startups raising money, how do you filter the signal from the noise? What separates a potential 100x return from a company that's destined to become another statistic? It's not about finding a flawless business plan, because no startup's plan survives first contact with the customer. It's about identifying a specific set of patterns, a framework for seeing the future potential that others might miss. It's a process of investigation, of asking the right questions, and understanding the subtle indicators of a truly explosive team and market. And that process is far more art than science. But while evaluating a team is an art, evaluating the business itself, that's where we get into the science. And this is the part that intimidates most people. It's the part where they think, okay, now I definitely need a license. This is Wall Street stuff. This is for the quants and the math geniuses. But I'm going to show you why that's completely wrong. The license you need to understand a business's health is nothing more than a library card, and a little bit of curiosity. Because all the information you need is public, free, and waiting for you. Think of a company like a car. You wouldn't buy a car without looking under the hood, checking the mileage, and understanding its service history, right? You don't need to be a certified mechanic to do that. You just need to know what to look for. The same is true for a company. Its service history is documented in three main financial statements: the income statement, the balance sheet, and the cash flow statement. Let's break this down with our car analogy. The income statement is like the car's trip computer. It tells you how far you've gone and how much fuel you've used over a specific period, like the last year or the last 3 months. It shows you the company's revenues. That's the speed you're traveling at. Then it subtracts all the costs of the journey, the cost of gas, the wear and tear, the insurance. What's left at the very bottom is the net income or profit. It's the answer to the question. After our entire road trip, did we end up further ahead than where we started? It's a measure of performance over time. Next, you have the balance sheet. This isn't a story of a trip. It's a single frozen-in-time snapshot. This is the car's official spec sheet on one particular day. On one side, you have the company's assets. That's the powerful engine, the sturdy frame, the valuable GPS system, the cash in the glove compartment. It's everything the company owns that has value. On the other side, you have its liabilities. This is the car loan you still owe the bank. It's the money you owe for the new tires you just put on. It's what the company owes to others. And when you take what the company owns, assets, and subtract what it owes, liabilities, you're left with shareholders' equity. That's the part of the car you actually own, free and clear. The balance sheet must always balance. Assets must equal liabilities plus equity. It's a fundamental law like gravity. But here's the one that most amateur investors ignore, and it's arguably the most important: the statement of cash flows. In our analogy, this is the fuel gauge and the fuel lines. A car can have a powerful engine, high revenue on the income statement, and look great on paper, a solid balance sheet. But if it has a hole in the gas tank, it's not going very far. The cash flow statement shows you exactly where real, actual cash is coming from and where it's going. Net income, the bottom line of the income statement, can be misleading. It includes non-cash expenses like depreciation. It can be manipulated with accounting tricks. But cash? Cash is king. Cash is the fuel that keeps the engine running. A company can be profitable on paper but go bankrupt because it ran out of actual cash. This statement tells you the truth about the company's lifeblood. So where do you find these magical documents? You don't need a secret password or a Wall Street terminal. You go to the SEC's Edgar database online. Or even easier, just Google the name of any public company followed by Investor Relations. They have to post these reports for the world to see. The big annual report is called a 10K, and the quarterly updates are called 10QS. This isn't privileged information. It's your right as a potential investor to see it. Now, you don't need to be a certified public accountant to read them. You're not looking to perform a forensic audit. You're looking for big picture trends. You're a detective looking for clues. Is revenue growing year after year? That's a good sign. Are their profit margins, the percentage of revenue they keep as profit, getting wider, or are they getting squeezed? Are they taking on a mountain of debt? You can find a simple ratio called the debt-to-equity ratio. If it's incredibly high, it means the company is running on borrowed money, like a driver who financed 100% of a sports car they can't really afford. One missed payment, one bad month, and the whole thing could be repossessed. But the metric I want you to burn into your brain is free cash flow. This is the holy grail. After a company pays for all its operations and invests in maintaining and growing its assets, like paying for new factories or equipment, the cash that's left over is the free cash flow. This is the real, discretionary cash the business has generated. It's the money they can use to reward shareholders by paying a dividend, buying back their own stock, or making a brilliant acquisition. A company with strong, growing free cash flow is like a car that not only gets you where you need to go, but also somehow generates extra fuel along the way. It's a sign of a truly healthy, efficient, and powerful business model. Let's imagine two companies. Company A is all over the news. Its revenues are exploding. The stock price is shooting up. But you pull up their 10K. You see that their debt is massive. And when you look at their cash flow statement, you see they're burning through cash every single quarter. They're spending far more than they bring in, hoping for a miracle tomorrow. This is the flashy convertible speeding down the highway at 100 miles per hour, but the fuel light is blinking and smoke is starting to come from the engine. Then you look at boring old Company B. It's in an established industry. Its revenue growth is a steady, predictable 8% a year. Nobody is talking about it. But you look under the hood. It has almost no debt. Its profit margins are wide and consistent. And most importantly, it gushes free cash flow year in, year out. This is the impeccably maintained, boring-looking sedan that will run for 300,000 miles without a problem. Which car do you think is the better long-term investment? The license you need isn't a piece of paper from the government. It's the wisdom to choose the reliable sedan over the smoking convertible. This process of fundamental analysis, of looking at the team, the market, and the financials, is the core of intelligent investing. It's the work that separates speculation from investment. It transforms you from a gambler pulling a slot machine lever into the owner of a business. You're not just buying a ticker symbol. You're buying a fractional share of that company's future cash flows. And understanding what those cash flows look like isn't a special skill reserved for the licensed elite. It's a learnable discipline, available to anyone with an internet connection and the will to look past the hype. But even if you master this, even if you can analyze a team like a venture capitalist and read a balance sheet like an accountant, there is one final hurdle. One final area you must master that has nothing to do with numbers or business plans. It is, without a doubt, the most difficult part of investing, and it's the single biggest reason most people fail, licensed or not. It's the battle that takes place not on a stock chart, but in the 6 inches between your own ears. And this is where the real license is earned. It's not a certificate you hang on the wall. It's a code you forge in the fire of market volatility and human emotion. It's an internal charter, a personal constitution that dictates how you behave when your money, your future, is on the line. This is the license that truly matters. It's the one that separates the gamblers from the investors, the flashes in the pan from the builders of generational wealth. And it has nothing to do with passing a multiple-choice exam. So, what does this unofficial, yet infinitely more valuable license consist of? It's not one single thing, but a collection of permits you must grant yourself. The first is a license of patience. In a world of instant gratification where you can get food, a ride, or a date with a few taps on your phone, the market demands the one thing our society is trying to engineer out of us: the ability to wait. Investing is not about the brilliant move you make today. It's about the compounding of decent, well-thought-out moves over decades. It's about planting a tree knowing you won't be sitting in its full shade for years. The financial media, the hot stock gurus, they all sell urgency. They want you to feel like if you don't act now, you'll miss out. This is a trap. It preys on your fear of missing out, your FOMO, to get you to trade, to churn your account, to generate fees and commissions. The license of patience is your shield against this noise. It's the deep, internal understanding that true wealth is a crock-pot meal, not a microwave dinner. It's boring, it's slow, and it's brutally effective. The second is a license of humility. The market is the great humbler. It doesn't care about your IQ, your PhD, or how smart you think you are. Overconfidence is a death sentence in investing. You will be wrong. Not you might be wrong, you will be wrong. You will buy a stock that you were absolutely certain was the next big thing, and you will watch it fall 50%. The moment you think you figured it all out is the exact moment the market is preparing to teach you a lesson you'll never forget. The license of humility isn't about being timid. It's about being realistic. It's the ability to say, "I was wrong," and to sell a losing position before it devastates your portfolio. It's the wisdom to know that you don't know everything, which leads you to diversify, to manage your risk, and to never ever bet the farm on a sure thing. Because the only sure thing is that there are no sure things. The third, and perhaps most crucial, is a license of curiosity. A formal license like a Series 7 tests your knowledge at a single point in time. But the market is a living, breathing entity. It changes. Industries are disrupted, consumer behaviors shift, new technologies emerge. The license of curiosity is your commitment to being a lifelong student. It's the desire to understand why you own what you own. It's not just buying a stock symbol. It's reading the company's annual report, even the boring parts. It's listening to the quarterly earnings calls to hear the CEO's tone of voice. It's understanding their competitors, their supply chain, the regulatory environment they operate in. It's asking questions. What could go wrong here? What is the bear case for this investment? Why might the people selling this stock be right? This isn't about becoming a Wall Street analyst overnight. It's about developing an owner's mindset. If you bought a local coffee shop, you wouldn't just ignore it and hope for the best. You'd want to know everything about it. Your stocks are no different. They are fractional ownership in real businesses. Your curiosity is your due diligence. And finally, you need a license of conviction. This is the culmination of the other three. If you have been patient, if you have been humble enough to know your limits, and if your curiosity has led you to do the real homework, then you can earn conviction. Conviction is what allows you to hold on, or even buy more, when the market is in a panic. When the headlines are screaming sell, and a stock you own is down 30%. The only thing that will stop you from panic selling at the absolute bottom is your deep-seated conviction in the underlying business. You can look at the chaos and say, "The market is scared, but I know what I own. The company's long-term prospects haven't changed, only its price has." This is an opportunity, not a disaster. Without conviction, you are just renting stocks. You are a leaf in the wind, pushed around by the daily whims of market sentiment. With conviction, you are the captain of your own ship, navigating the storm with a firm hand on the wheel because you know your destination, and you trust the vessel you've built. Think about two investors. Let's call them certified Charles and self-taught Sarah. Charles went and got all the licenses. He passed the exams, he knows the regulations, he can tell you the definition of a straddle option in his sleep. He feels he's earned the right to invest. Sarah has no license. She's a physical therapist. But she spends a few hours each week reading, learning about businesses she finds interesting. A hot new tech stock starts making headlines. Everyone is talking about it. Charles, seeing the momentum, jumps in. He doesn't really understand their technology, but his licensed buddies are all buying it, and the stock is only going up. He feels the thrill of the win. Sarah looks at the same company. She tries to read their financial reports but finds them confusing. She doesn't understand how they make money, and their CEO seems to make a lot of promises without much to back them up. So she passes. Instead, she buys more shares of a boring, profitable consumer goods company she's owned for years. A company whose products she sees in stores every day. Then the market turns. The bubble in tech stocks pops. The hot stock Charles bought plummets 70%. Panic sets in. All the textbook knowledge from his exams means nothing in the face of seeing his account value evaporate. He sells, locking in a massive loss, vowing the system is rigged. Meanwhile, Sarah's boring consumer goods stock also drops, but only by about 15%. Is she happy about it? No. But she isn't panicked. She read their latest report. People are still buying their products. The company is still profitable and even raised its dividend. Her curiosity gave her an understanding of the business, and that understanding gave her the conviction to hold on. She even decides to buy a little more since it's now on sale. 5 years later, Charles is out of the market, telling everyone how investing is just gambling. The hot tech stock he bought never recovered. Sarah's boring stock, however, has not only recovered its losses but has chugged along to new all-time highs, paying her a steady stream of dividends the entire time. Who had the real license to invest? Was it Charles with the certificate on his wall? Or was it Sarah, with the patience, humility, curiosity, and conviction she had forged for herself? The answer is obvious. The piece of paper doesn't matter when fear is whispering in your ear. The only thing that matters is the strength of your own internal framework. That is the license that no one can give you and no one can take away. It is the one you must earn for yourself every single day.
Disclaimer: the information presented is for informational purposes only and is not professional financial, investment, or tax advice. All investments involve risk and may result in partial or total loss. You should always conduct your own research and consult with a qualified financial professional before making any financial decisions. By viewing this video, you agree not to hold the creator liable for any loss or damage arising from your use of the information provided.